The climate hysteria movement is not about science. If it were about science, it would be led by scientists rather than by politicians and a mentally ill Swedish child who is being exploited by her parents and by the international left.
How dare you? You're a grown man and you're attacking a child. Shame on you. She's trying to do what she thinks is right. And by the way, now relax, skinny boy. I got this, okay? You're attacking a child. You're a grown man. Have some couth.
I'm not. I'm attacking the left for exploiting a mentally ill child.
Maybe on your podcast, you get away and say whatever you want because nobody's listening. You're on national television. Be a grown-up when you're talking about children. She's trying to save the planet because your president doesn't believe in climate change, and kids need to take to the streets to worry about their future. You are despicable for talking to her about her like that, and you should apologize on national television right now.
I think the international left and her parents who are exploiting a girl with many mental illnesses.
You called her mentally ill. Take it back now.
She is mentally ill.
Take it back now.
She is mentally ill. She has autism. She has obsessive compulsive disorder. She has selective mutism. She had depression.
You are despicable.
Her mother wrote about this in a book. You can inveigh all you want, but unfortunately you don't have any facts on your side of it.
You're despicable. You're a grown-up. You're a grown-up.
For a lot of people, the first time they heard about Greta Thunberg, Greta Thunberg, Thunberg, Greta Thunberg,
Greta Thunberg.
Greta what? Huh? Play that again.
Greta Thunberg.
Huh.
Greta Thunberg.
The first time they heard about Greta Thunberg was after her speech at the United Nations and the subsequent backlash from conservative commentators, one of which notably tried to discredit her on ableist grounds, leading to that clip you just saw. So, was this man the reason Greta Thunberg became famous? No, of course not. Are you stupid? This man was reacting to a speech she gave at the United Nations, so clearly she was famous before that. So, what do I mean by the title then? Greta herself has been known to refer to her Asperger's as her superpower, and has insisted that her nature as an activist can at least in part be credited to it. She also has a jawline like a motherfucker, but that's a separate issue. Anyways, when Greta was about 11, she became depressed over the nature of her failure of her political system in addressing the increasingly pressing global destruction caused by climate change. By 15, she had won a climate change essay competition for the Swedish newspaper Svenska Dagbladet. Convinced her parents to take on a variety of climate-positive personal policies, and was ready to start, by herself, what would end up being the school strike for the climate. Carrying a black and white sign, Greta skipped school to protest outside the Swedish parliament, though she tried to get other students to join her protest. At first, none of her schoolmates was interested in participating, which puts her perseverance in protesting by herself into perspective. It's clear that learning about climate change affected her deeply and led her to be single-mindedly focused on doing all she could to help in solving the issue. She got lucky in that when she posted pictures of her first strike day on Instagram and Twitter, high-profile youth activists and other people with large reaches shared her struggle, which attracted the attention of local news reporters who also shared her story, and started her down the path of eventually getting to the United Nations and popularizing the gigantic movement known as the climate strike. So, back to the point of how exactly Asperger's helped in her advocacy. First of all, it should be noted that one of the main things that differentiates Greta from many other climate activists is the honest, blunt, succinct, and confrontational activist style she employs when making her points on the issue of climate change. Being willing to basically call out the people she's talking to is pathetic and ineffectual.
You all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams, my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering, people are dying, entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you?
Autistic people are known for their honesty and directness. The reason for this comes from the same impulse, Both lying and indirectness are social games, which autistic people tend to hate. There is evidence to suggest that this distaste for concealing true motives may be inherent, but it's unknown to what extent this is affected by the fact that autistic people tend to be on the losing side of those social games, being less likely to detect deception in others. This is one of the many reasons autistic people are disproportionately victims of abuse. We trust others' motives easily. Autistic people are also known for having certain areas of interest that we are able to work on longer and more intensely than the average person. If you've ever heard of autistic savants, such as the painter Stephen Wiltshire, you'll be familiar with what is in fact just the greatest extent of a general rule with autistics. This single-minded devotion to one or a handful of areas is likely what Greta Thunberg is referring to when she says that Asperger's is her superpower. Our ability to go further than anyone else with our interests is one of her main abilities, and it's something that most of us are really proud of. So, the next time someone says, "Who would want autism?" to justify some genocidal eugenicist belief about why autism should be quote-unquote cured, send them this video. Just because most neurotypicals can't see the beauty in autism, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It just takes a bit of critical thinking to see.